increased performance, interesting classes. So we have performance points, and that's what this lesson is about. It's about performance points, not points of performance, performance points. Performance points are things that we can use to make our classes a lot more interesting, mainly because the workout is different every day. Therefore, we can pull out different things that are going to help them perform in that specific workout, which is going to vary with the programming. So that's why it makes it more interesting, and it also hooks them in a little bit more into the class, and it shows them that you really want them to perform better. Therefore, they're going to, like all the other things, like to be more engaged and see better results, but it also makes the class more interesting. Okay, increased performance. In this session, we're going to talk about the difference between performance points and points of performance. They're two different things, and coaching the two of them makes your class a lot more different. Anyway, we're going to go through why we would use the performance points, how to use performance points, and then I'll give you some homework to apply it to your classes. Okay, performance points versus points of performance. This is going to get pretty confusing. You got POPs, you got PPs, points of performance points. It's a lot of sounding the same repetition, so hopefully you can stick with it, not get confused by it, and it makes sense and you can apply it. Okay, so points of performance, these are the characteristics of a movement. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do the movement successfully. I previously has talked about the difference between points of performance and cues. So points of performance aren't cues. Points of performance are like think to your level 1, think about the 9 foundational movements, think about breaking it down into step-by-step progressions. These are points of performance that allow us to do a movement. They are like technique, form, mechanics. Okay, we don't necessarily need performance points to be able to do movement. So performance points are the PPs. And we don't need performance points to be able to do the movement. We need points of performance. So I hope I'm not confusing you already. Performance points, PPs, are the characteristics of the movement that allow us to perform today's workout better. So I can have points of performance and I can coach the points of performance, but they're not necessarily going to make me do the workout better. They're going to make me do the movement better. Performance points allow me to do the workout better. I hope that makes sense. Performance points can also break the rules of points of performance. So as you'll see, as this becomes a little bit clearer as we go through the lecture, with a performance point, if I want somebody, let's say we're doing 30 squat snatches for time, all right, and the barbell is light, it's 42.5 and 30 kilos. A lot of athletes won't need to find extension in the snatch to do that weight, and if the stimulus is to move really quickly through the workout, you might use a point of performance of missing the extension in the snatch to move quicker and get the workout done. All right, so that's a performance point for somebody to move quicker through the workout and gain an advantage. It's not a point of performance. It's not going to help them execute the movement better. It's going to help them execute the workout better. And that's the main difference. Executing the workout better, not the movement. Okay. Performance points can also be a point of performance that is emphasized to help performance in the workout or a standalone idea. So you can use a point of performance. So for example, dumbbell snatch, bending the elbow on the way up, that's a point of performance, but it can also be doubled up as a performance point in a specific workout. And you can just re-emphasize it to make sure that it sticks in the head. It's like a main focus point. Performance point can be used in that way. Okay. All right. Here I'm going to go through. I've 3 examples, I think, of performance point videos. Okay.
Doing a push press 1RM is very different than doing a push press in a Metcon. You do need to cover the basic points of performance for both of these, which are the same, but then how they are executed is very different. Setting up for a 1RM requires a lot of tension, bracing, and focus. However, in a Metcon, you probably want to be a little bit more relaxed, so you can cycle the barbell more efficiently. You can differentiate the two by adding in a performance point after you cover the basic points of performance. And before I show you examples, quickly here follow. For the 1RM, the performance point could be the launch position off the front rack with a full grip, elbows down a little bit with the bar still on your shoulders. But in the Metcon, it could be breaking the elbows forward from the finish position to get the bar back to the front rack to allow efficient barbell cycling. Add performance points to make your coaching more specific to the movements in the workout that day.
Okay, so with that one, like, you can coach a push press the exact same, as I said, for that heavy day and for the light metcon day, but you're missing the performance side of it. And the performance side of it is the thing that really matters. It really matters to people and really matters to the workout. So on the heavy day, as I said, if you focus on that launch position, focusing on the launch position off the shoulders might encourage them or might get them to go heavier that day because they've better launch position. And then if you're on a metcon day, you might be talking about the elbows breaking forward from the top position, so that when it comes back to the shoulders, they're in a good position to keep moving the barbell a little bit quicker. If their elbows drop straight down under the bar, they might not get it back to the front rack, therefore they're not utilizing that position very well, and it might slow them down on the workout. So there's two different performance points, I'm confusing myself already, performance points that you can use for the same movement, just on different days. Okay.
We've covered the basic points of performance for the thruster. Now let's look at a performance point. And what is that? Performance point will help you perform the thruster more specifically for today's workout. Oh, I like the sound of that. What are we going to do? Today's workout is heavy, so we should focus on the drive out of the top of the squat to transfer power from the legs into the press out of the rep. Like this. Exactly. And that will really help you move the heavy load today. Thanks, coach. That's really helpful. I'm going to follow you for more coaching tips just like that.
All right, so in that example, that's using the drive out of the thruster for a heavy day. But if you're doing a light day with the barbell is 30 for men, 20 for women, or if you're doing Jackie, for instance, 50 empty barbell thrusters, you're not going to want to have a big massive drive out of the squat because you don't need it. So the performance point of driving out of the squat is relevant for a heavy day. So if the workout's heavy day, that's your performance point. Let's drive out of the squat.
Hey Christy, you know you're wasting a lot of time by doing your wall ball transition like that? What you mean? Every time you pick up the ball, you're getting your hands set and then you're getting your feet set and then it's just taking you ages before you do your first rep. Yeah, of course. I want to make sure I'm in the right position before I start. Is there a better way to do it? As you walk over to the ball, get your feet set, put your hands on and pull yourself into the bottom of the squat. Now you're ready to go into that first rep nice and quick. Oh, that looks much better. Let me try that. Okay, let me try that faster. That's much quicker, coach. I'm going to follow you for more performance tips like that.
Alright, so there's another one. Wall ball transitions, they can waste time. Luke, you can coach the wall ball points of performance and then you can say, okay, go ahead and do a workout. Or you can coach the wall ball points of performance and say, alright, we're going to do the performance point now, which is going to make you do the workout better and quicker today. So as you're moving towards your wall ball, you don't want to do all this messing around. You want to get straight into the work, nice and quick. Now we're into performance points. And I have one more. We have 15 hang power cleans, so we want to make sure that we're efficient with our barbell cycle. The key is to keep the bar as close to the body as possible. The first step is to lower the elbows under and behind the bar. Then you let the bar fall and catch it with straight arms. Then send your hips back and lower into that hang position. And then you can start your rep again. Lovely, can't wait to try that in the workout. But can I hit follow before we start? Alright, so that's a barbell cycling is going to be important for, like, that was 15 hang power cleans. You don't want to be inefficient with your cycling. So if you've more efficient cycling, going to perform better in the workout. That was the point. Now, the important thing is, because I've seen coaches do this before, where they talk about the hang power clean, they coach it from start to finish, and then they say, okay, we're in the workout today, we're going to cycle the barbell. This is what the barbell cycling looks like. Cool, now go ahead. But we haven't taught people how to do a barbell cycling. So how do we get our body in the right position? How do we make it nice and smooth? What are the key components? I've often seen athletes bend their knees first into as the barbell is dropping, therefore they're crashing down onto their quads and they're not in a good position to move the barbell into the hang. So, like, you got to coach that. Coach the how to efficiently barbell cycle. Coach it step by step, and then they'll be able to apply it to the workout, and then it's a performance point. If you just mention it and it's a throwaway comment and you show them a demo, they might not get it, and it's not going to help them at all. It might actually hinder their performance in the workout. So hopefully you're starting to get an idea of the difference between a performance point and a point of performance from them videos. So let's get a little bit more theory into it. Why do we use them? So increase performance in the workout. That's the main reason we do it. Increase performance. Never lose sight of performance. Performance, it drives intensity, and intensity drives results, right? So we can get bogged down on points performance and people moving really perfectly all the time, but then we forget about the performance. And the performance side of it is what's really exciting about CrossFit. It's what we probably all, like I know for me and probably you, it's like, oh, well, I love performing, I love getting out, and I love doing a workout and trying to challenge myself in different ways. And if we're leaving performance behind, then we're making CrossFit boring. So don't forget about performance, all right? It's something specific to focus on. It's like a focus point. It's something that's going to help me in today's workout. And when I'm doing, let's say it's the thrusters, and I'm only thinking about that performance point of that pop out of the squat to drive the barbell up, then if that's the only thing I'm thinking about, then I'm increasing my performance. But I'm also thinking about something. And thinking about something just gives you a little bit more rather than just going through the workout and thinking about how awful this feels. It gives competitive athletes an edge. So if you think about that wall ball transition example, like if somebody goes and does that in a competition or in a workout where they're competing against other people, it's like, yeah, they have an advantage if they're doing that, as opposed to somebody who's taken their ages to get themselves set up to throw the ball. Teaches athletes how to perform. So if you're a coach and you coach regular classes all the time and you don't really coach competitive athletes, but there's a competitive athlete in your class who's going to go to a competition and you're not going to be there, it teaches them how to perform. It teaches them how to look at workouts and see something that's like, oh, this is going to be important for me to win this workout today. And it teaches them that performance side of it where they can go and use it themselves. People maximize their score. So if we're teaching people how to cycle a barbell better, how to use their drive and the thruster better, how to pick up the transition in the wall ball quicker, how to cycle better on a push press, it's like that's going to maximize their score in the workout. And that's important to people, maximizing their score. It keeps the athletes moving. So examples are like movement redundancy. I'm going to talk about movement redundancy a little bit later on in this. Movement redundancy basically means let's say a push press and a wall ball. So if you're doing a push press and a wall ball, they're both pushing with the arms and you're going to have that fatigue. Same with like a wall ball handstand push-up workout. Have you ever done that before? If you ever done a wall ball handstand push-up workout, you really know what your capacity is in handstand push-ups then, because the wall balls really, really interfere with the handstand push-up. So it's important to understand the movement redundancy and when movements interfere with each other and how we can use performance points to help eliminate that interference. Saving the legs for the wall balls. Like if you're going from a rower onto a wall ball, like the rower's going to take some leg juice and then you go into a wall ball and all of a sudden you don't have any legs left for the wall ball. You might want to coach the rower with less leg drive. Coaching the rower with less leg drive will help them be more efficient on their wall balls, and that's a performance point. Using the arms more on the push press. Similarly, if you've got box jumps into push press, you don't want to emphasize the leg drive in the push press because they're going to need the legs in the box jump. So you're going to emphasize the legs in the box jump and then emphasize the press in the push press. So it just twists where you put emphasis on the movement to help aid the performance in the workout. Increased performance. How do we use it? So that was why we use it. Now how? So how you build performance points into your class depends on how much time you have. So if you're limited on time, you might not be able to go through a whole lot of detail here, and you might just have to get straight to the performance point. So for instance, if you've got a strength piece and a very long metcon piece and you've got 5 minutes to get your athletes warmed up before they start, in that 5 minutes you're probably not going to have a lot of time to go through basic points of performance, but you've already covered them recently. You're like, actually, you know what, we did push press last week, I covered the basic points of performance in depth last week. This week I'm going to lean on that and I'm going to just go straight to a performance point. And you can go straight to a performance point and hope for the best, and it might work. It might work for you. Other days you might be like, okay, cool, I've got 15 minutes to coach here. I'm going to cover the points of performance first, and then I'm going to tack on the performance point last. So what we should do there is try, like we've talked about this before, try cover 3 points of performance. So not the whole array of points of performance and cover 5 or 6 different ones. let's pick out 3 that are really important for today's workout and 3 that are going to help the performance point. And then add the performance point last. All right. So for an example, on the hang power clean, you might coach the start position. So where's the hang position start from? The catch position, because the catch position is important in the power clean. And then the finish position, because we've got to finish our reps. All right. So we coach start position, catch position, finish position, and then add in the smooth barbell cycling as the performance point at the end. So you got them doing cleans well. Now let's add in the performance for it. Thruster heavy day. Coach the front squat, coach the press, combine the 2 of them for a thruster, and then add the drive out of the squat as the performance point. All right, so you can see that you got to coach something before you go and tack on the performance point if you've got the time for it. Thruster light day. Coach the front rack. Coach the timing on the way down, so wait till the bar gets into the front rack before you start the squat, and then coach the finish position because you want to make sure people are finishing the reps again, and then add breathing as a performance point. Because if you've got a light thruster day, let's say it's Jackie like I mentioned before, you got 50 empty barbell thrusters, you probably want to be able to breathe through them reps to try and hold on to the bar as long as possible. If you're holding your breath on a light barbell thruster, it's going to go against you. So you could coach breathing as a performance point. And you could say, we're going to exhale at the bottom of the rep, exhale at the top of the rep. So it's like hit the bottom, hit the top. And if you control that breathing rhythm to be able to move through the thrusters a lot smoother and maybe get the 50 unbroken. Okay, so we've talked about the difference between a point of performance and a performance point. We've talked about why we use performance points. Talk about how we use performance points. So now we want to talk about the process of getting to deciding what is the performance point today. Okay. So the first thing you got to do is you got to analyze the workout. Once you analyze the workout, you can look at the movement combinations, you can look at the stimulus, you can look at the redundancy, you can look at transition times. All of that stuff combined will help you figure out what is the thing that will help your athletes do the workout better. Once you know what the thing is that you're going to use to help your athletes do the workout better, that's when you build your class around it. So ideally, we'd like to cover some points of performance first and then add performance points last. If you don't have time to cover points of performance first, lean on previous days where you have and then just get straight to performance point. Don't do it all the time though. If you're just doing performance point, your athletes are going to move like shit and they're going to probably just race through workouts. Whereas we still want to cover points of performance, right? Still have to get our athletes moving well. But we just want to add a little bit extra by adding that performance point. And when you're coaching it, then you got to just emphasize, like, this is the thing that's going to help you today. This is going to get you better score today. And this is the only thing to think about today. Like, there are 3 things that you could say. Let's say you've coached the thruster and you've coached the front rack position, you've coached the timing, getting down into the squat, and you've coached the finish position. And then it's like, all right, this is the thing that you need to do today to get a better score. This is the thing you're going to do today to keep yourself moving. This is the thing that's going to help you move through the workout better. Breathing. So when we get into that workout and you get off your rower and you pick up your barbell, all I want you to do is focus on your breathing here. Don't focus on anything else. Just focus on your breathing. Your technique is going to be there because you've already covered it. You're all moving really well. I trust that that's just going to be there. If it's not, I'll give you some cues, but I want you to focus on your breathing at the bottom and at the top. Like, now your athletes are like, okay, here it is. Breathing. I focus on my breathing. I'm good. And then they perform. They perform in the workout and they just knock it out of the park. And then you walk out of the room feeling like, oh, I nailed that. They nailed that. What a day. Okay. All right. So let's have a look at a couple of workouts here that I've pulled off CrossFit.com. And we'll just look at the workouts and I'll talk you through my process of pulling out a performance point. Workout is Christine. Benchmark workout. Girl workout. 3 rounds for time. 500 meter row. 12 bodyweight deadlifts. And 21 box jumps. Today's workout is a classic CrossFit benchmark. For an advanced athlete, each round is a sprint. All right, that tells us a lot. All right, that tells us so much. So you put your foot on the gas pedal and hold on. The load of the barbell is light enough that you should push to maintain unbroken sets for all 3 rounds. Remember to stand up completely on top of the box in the box jumps. Newer athletes should reduce the deadlift load to a weight that can be completed in 2 sets or less while maintaining good technique. All right, so we know it's a sprint workout. We've got to move fast on the row. We've got to do the deadlifts unbroken, and we want to lock out on top of the box jumps. Talked about movement redundancy earlier on. Like the row into the deadlifts, pretty much the exact same movement pattern. That's movement redundancy right there. And then you're going from the deadlifts into box jumps. If you've done row and deadlifts and you've done them fast, your legs are probably going to be burning when you get to the box jumps. So this is where performance points comes in. I'd be saying to them, on the row, I want to even power across the stroke. I don't want a big, strong, heavy leg drive because I don't want to burn the legs out getting onto the deadlifts, right? So even stroke on the row. Now, this is where coaching comes in. I don't just say it. I coach it. So if I'm going to coach the performance point of even power across the row, I got to figure out how do I get my athletes to find even power across the row. And then once I figure it out, then I got to coach it to them. 12 bodyweight deadlifts. When you get to the deadlifts, it should be unbroken, right? So we're not necessarily saying that we don't want to use the legs here because we need to use the legs in the deadlift. I don't want to cut them out today because then the back could be lit up and on fire. We don't want to do that. So we just want to maybe emphasize a performance point of, what would I say on the deadlifts? I'd probably just coach the deadlifts because they've got to be unbroken. I would coach the positions on the way down. So I'd coach hips back, knees, hips first, then knees on the way down. So I'd coach it top down. That's the way I'd do it. I wouldn't necessarily coach a performance point on a deadlift that day. So I'd coach a performance point on the rower would be even power across the stroke. So I got to teach them the sequence. I got to teach them a leg drive. I got to teach them a pull. I got to teach them a return, the catch position, whatever it might be. But then I got to coach that performance point. On the deadlifts, just coach the points of performance. And then on the box jumps, because the legs are going to be heavy, I would like to use a performance point of using the arms to help the jump. So if you're throwing the arms forward as you are in that load position, it'll help a lot with the box jumps. So get in the load of the box jump, bend the knee, hands behind the body, and then as you drive through the floor and jump, throw your arms from front of you, and that'll help with get through the box jumps a little bit quicker. So that'll be my performance point there on the box jumps. Okay, that's going to help hit the stimulus of the workout. It's going to help the athletes keep moving throughout the workout, and then they can try and keep that intensity high. Next one, as many rounds and reps as possible in 8 minutes of 40 double unders, 10 hang power snatches. Today's workout is a fast couplet, so this is another fast one. Expect your grit to get taxed on both movements. Double unders should not take more than 45 seconds each round. Intermediate athletes should choose a number of double unders they can consistently achieve in 30 seconds. If necessary, reduce the reps or perform attempts for a given amount of time each round. The load of the barbell should be light. Over the course of the workout, the load may even be annoying because you want to put it down, but there's no reason to do so. Push for unbroken rounds and manage your transition times. So you see transition times, that'll be a big one on this for performance, right? So one of the things you can do is coach a double under, get a little bit of practice in, and then say, okay, we're going to do some rope transitions. So lay out the rope in a position where they can just step into it and pick the handles up straight away. Then I'm going to do a video on that. Sorry. Rope position on the floor, step into the rope, pick it up, and then start with a double under. Don't waste time with some single unders. Therefore, your performance point can be a combination of starting with a double under and then the rope set up on the ground. When they finish their last double under, how do they put the rope back into that position before moving on to the barbell? So that little small detail makes a massive difference in the performance of a workout. If you think about this as a competitive competition workout and somebody picks up their rope and it's all tangled and they've got to untangle it, and by the time they untangle it and start, somebody else could be finished their 40 reps because 40 reps will take 20 seconds unbroken. All right. If you think about when they finish their last rep, bang, on round one, and they just drop the rope down, they go and do their snatches, they come back and their rope is all over the place. They got to pick it up and fiddle around with it. So having the rope laid out in a specific way on the floor can make a big difference to the performance of workout. So that's a performance point right there. It's not a point of performance, but it helps them perform better in the workout. Okay. 10 hang power snatches. You can go, like, naturally barbell cycling is definitely important on this one, right? But it could be releasing the grip at the top overhead as it's coming down to let the barbell fall, and then recatch in a hook grip to help save your grip, because it says here, expect your grip to be taxed on both movements, because you're going to be holding the rope really tight and then you're going to hold the barbell really tight. So a little loosening of the grip at the top to refine on the way down could be the performance point. It could also be returning to the hang position. Is it the high hang or the low hang? Are we going just at the hip and bouncing it straight back up? Or are we going to contact the hip smoothly and lower to the knee on the way down? And that could be your performance point. Where is the hang position? How do we transition to it smoothly and get the bar back overhead? And that could be your performance point. Okay, so there's different things that we can look at and different things we can focus on. But if you've got time, cover point of performance first and then performance point second. I hope performance points make sense, because I know they can be a little bit confusing. All right, homework. What stood out for you the most? I want you to answer that question in the comments on the Facebook post of this video. What stood out for you the most from this session? And I hope it's not confusion. All right, then I want you to plan a performance point for your next class. So after the class, so once you've coached it, you got to work out. You're going to use the process that's there. You're going to build out your class plan. Then you're going to coach the workout. You're going to coach that performance point. After the class, I want you to post the comments under this video on the Facebook group of what was the workout, what was the performance point, why did you choose that performance point, and then would you choose something different? I skipped one. Did it work, and was it the right choice? So when you chose that performance point, did it work? Like, did people perform better because of that performance point? Was it the right choice? Yes or no? If it was the right choice, great. If it wasn't, would you choose something different if you're to coach the same workout again? So would you choose a different performance point, having seen it being done, and be like, okay, you know what, that was the wrong one. I could have done this instead. And then what did you learn from applying the whole process? So from the time of sitting down, looking at the workout, thinking about what is the stimulus, what's the workout, what's the movements, is there redundancy, what can I pull out, building it into a class plan, delivering it. What did you learn from the whole process? Now, if you could copy them 1, 2, 3, 6 points, paste them onto your notes in your phone or whatever, and then just put the answer underneath it. So if you have, what is the workout, and write the workout. What was the point of performance? Write out what the point. What was the performance point? Write out what the performance was. Why did I choose it? And then write out that, just so I can easily read it, and then everybody else can easily read it as well and see where you came from, what it was, rather than just a big essay, because essays are really hard to read. Okay, so keep it bullet pointed. Keep it to question, answer, just so we can see exactly where it is, and then stick that in the comment section of this Facebook post so we can all have a look and see where we're going, and hopefully we can all learn from each other. Last thing I want you to do is capture a video of an athlete in your class executing the performance point and post it to your stories. So if you've, for example, I would prefer if you thought of your own and not just use the examples I've given you in this lecture, right? So try and think of your own. But let's say, for example, it was the wall ball one, and it was the transition to the wall ball, or the transition on the rope, and that was what you used. See if you can get a video of an athlete finishing their barbell and walking over, picking up their rope and getting to work straight away, or finishing their pull-ups and walking straight over to their wall ball and picking it up and getting to work straight away. Try and get a video of that, post it to your stories, and just say, caption on it, increasing performance at coach to coach. Stick a bit of music over it, whatever you want to do, but I just want to see it on your Instagram stories. All right, that's your homework. If you have any questions, give me a shout. Thanks, folks.